Hello my friends and welcome. My name is Dennis and as you probably know I'm the airline pilot. Today it's going to be my reaction video on recent events with Boeing 737-300 cargo airplane landing in one of the most difficult airports in the world, Paro Airport in Bhutan. The video got viral, so let's see it.
Yeah, be careful, don't worry.
Bank angle.
Bank angle check.
Bank angle.
Yeah.
Sink rate.
Come slowly, right?
Slow up. Sink rate. Sink rate.
Good, good. Come little more.
50. 40.
Okay.
30. 20. Good.
Oh, very interesting. I would call it the good example of unstable approach. By the way, one more airline pilot, Peter from Mentour Pilot channel, also got his reaction in the same video, so I'll put the link to his video reaction just below. But I also have something to say because I used to work in Indonesia with Indonesian pilots, and those guys, those pilots on this Boeing 737-300 actually were Indonesians. However, I've flown the different aircraft type for different airlines. So I used to work for Garuda Indonesia, and I've flown with young guys who had like 300, 500 flight hours, and we also flown to kind of remote and kind of difficult airports. Not as difficult as Paro Bhutan, but very close to it. Pum pum. The plane that we see on this video is Boeing 737 Classic 300 freighter, registration Papa Kilo Yankee Golf Whiskey. It started its career, the flight career, in Air Malta, continued in Air New Zealand, and now it's working for Intra Airlines, 3 Intra Asia. So the good thing here is there were no any passengers aboard, no worries about them. However, it was a precious cargo delivering medical supplies, basically vaccines, to Bhutan country, and yeah, it's very important. I think that those vaccines a little bit shake on this hard landing. Okay, let's go back to this video because there is one more version of it. So we watched like 30 seconds and there is the longer version, 1 minute and 31 seconds, that can bring us to some clues what led to this kind of unstable approach. And of course it was the hard landing. I'm sure it was more than 2 Gs. But anyway, let's see.
You turn left now. Turn left, go to this red hill. Yes. Turn left, turn left in this side.
What is interesting here that the guy who is sitting on the back, probably filming, actually telling the captain where to fly. It may happen because on this airport you required the pilot, there's the option that you hire a pilot to fly with you on this airplane. The pilot is totally certified to lead you, to tell you how you can approach to this kind of difficult airport. And this pilot, usually instructor pilot or at least captain, he has all the authorities approval for this kind of job. Also, you can go to fly in a simulator in the same scenario, and also there is the other option, the pilot in command that is going to fly to the Paro Airport has an option to sit on a observer seat and just look how certified people fly to this airport, and later on will have the approval from Bhutan Civil Aviation Authority. That's the very similar stuff we had on our flight to Madeira just recently. If you didn't know, I've flown to one of the difficult, most challenging airport in Europe, and I did a great review about this airport, so please check it out in the video description below, and I'll also put it around here. And let's continue the flight, because we know there is the guy on the back who is hired pilot to instruct the pilots how to fly to this airport, because from what I can see, I can admit that the pilot flying and monitoring the fly for the first time to this airport. So this guy is telling how to fly and also was filming the video.
Go down, you'll be high. Go down.
So first he said, go to the left, and later he said, go down, you'll be high, because from that perspective you cannot see the runway. I'll draw it to you right here. So this is the airport, like here. Here's the mountain, and here's mountain again, and here is the mountain also, and here is some kind of river. So you're approaching from this valley over here. So you're approaching, you need to go to the left to this mountain over here, and then you need to turn to the airport. So here you cannot see it, but here you need to turn to the left first, then to the right, because if you didn't turn to the left, you will tighten your radius. So you need to first go to the left and then to the right. So he tells, go to the left first and then descend, because here you cannot see the runway because of this high mountain. By the way, the elevation of this airport is more than 7,000 feet, so it's quite interesting airport. The runway length, as far as I remember, is 2,385 meters, which is quite short for this kind of elevation.
Turn more. Go down now.
Go down, and pilot monitoring also helps with this switches with the heading.
Little more. Yeah. Little more.
Or more, because you need to descend.
More, so that you can come little more. Right?
So they're turning to the left. Not very actively, I would say. So they are turning to the left.
Okay, now turn right. Turn right.
Now turn right. So you need immediately turn right.
Turn right, you see the runway? Turn right, turn right, turn right.
So you see the runway? Yes, turn right, because they are quite slow performing this turn to the right. It's very tricky because, for example, here's the runway. You're approaching this runway. And if you are here, so this is the continuation of the central line, if you find yourself over here flying, you need to do the S-type maneuver. So you need to go down to the central line extension and go here. So it's like S, you see, S. So it's S-type maneuver that you should perform to go if you are on the left or on the right. If on the right, you go like this. So it's S-type. First you divert to the runway to establish with final course, and then turn again to the runway.
That is the opposite. Okay.
500. According to my airline rules, at 500 you need to have the landing configuration, you need to be stabilized on track, no large bank angle is acceptable at this moment, and yeah, all the checklists should be done and all the procedures completed. The vertical speed should not exceed 1000 feet per minute unless it was briefed. And also for this airport, what you need to do probably is you need to switch off the terrain mode, terrain alert, to avoid this pull up and terrain ahead, pull up, and other stuff that may sound in this close proximity, with this close proximity to terrain. And actually, from what I can see on the first officer panel, just below the navigation display HSI, you can see the switch is turned off from what I can see, but we still hear the pull up callouts. That is probably because they selected not the switch off but the protection cover off, not the switch, because otherwise I think it won't sound.
Yeah, be careful, don't worry.
Bank angle. Bank angle.
So I'm sure it was the first flight. He said, be careful, don't worry. The guy on the back said to pilots, be careful, don't worry. You still can do it. However, you're very close here to the runway H, and you need to perform this S-type maneuver very fast. And now they're aligning. Actually, the track was like this. So they were left of track and then going to the runway. So it was late turn to the right. Sync rate, pull-ups, of course, the vertical speed was more than 1000. I think it's okay for this airport because on the briefing you should tell about it. I don't know whether it was...
Full up. Sink rate. Sink rate.
Good. Come little more.
Okay, I'll stop here. I would say, my friends, this is if some instructor will see this on a flight simulator, if I land from this position, I would not pass the simulator, I would fail it. It's called landing from unlanding position, so it will get you lots of efforts if you are already above the runway and you are actually right on from the runway. It will get you to the very stressful situation, and the possibility to over control the airplane is very high. So 100% in this case, go around. One more thing, my friends, in this kind of mountainous airport, I could find only the approach where you can perform the missed approach until 0.710. So I'll put the chart over here so we can see it. Before 0.710 you can go around. It's actually your, I think, missed approach point, but after it's not published. But still, I think you can go around from this position at the same airport and climb to, I think, 16,000 feet or something. So of course in this case I would go around because it's totally unsafe.
40, 30, 20.
So that is what happened. That is what happened. They concentrated on lining up the airplane with the runway axis and forgot to flare, because our mind can concentrate just on one thing usually, especially in stressful conditions. In calm conditions you can remember your frequency, you can fly the airplane, etc. But in these stressful conditions you can easily overreact. You can that's what they did, the hard landing. It's not good, my friends, it's not good. And they actually finished this as maneuver over the runway. It's not good as well. So it's clearly unstable approach and I would say reckless flying. But also what I don't like, let's finish this video.
Pum pum.
But what is the worst thing here, my friends? The guy on the right, the pilot monitoring, was actually filming with his phone in his hands this approach. He was totally distracted. The guy on the back was also actually, he suggested the pilot flying, how to fly the airplane, but still I think he was filming, or maybe it was the fourth guy. I don't know. I don't really know about the guy on the back because I didn't see him. But the pilot monitoring was clearly out of rules, filming with his phone. And also he had some kind of GoPro camera. Isn't the GoPro camera enough for you? Why don't you pick your phone for TikTok or something? And also the camera was put it in a very kind of bad place because it might block the view. It was put it just on the front screen. So of course you cannot see part of what is happening just in front. It is me telling you, yes, I also film from the cockpit, but I use different cameras and they fixed. So I'm allowed to film in the cockpit, luckily, because we don't have the strict regulation from our aviation authority. I have the approval from my airline. My cameras are certified, they have the aviation mode on, so they do not send the signals that can distract, they can disturb the aviation, the airplane equipment, etc. But I always put them in the position that they will not distract my view or my hands or whatever, and you will never find the videos in my channel that I will film from the phone. Below 10,000 feet, it is a critical point and the pilots should not be distracted even by their own actions. So we need to concentrate just on performing the takeoff and climb or the approach and landing. That's it, my friends. So because of those guys, the airlines and authorities, they restrict using of the devices that may film something in a cockpit. That is why it's forbidden, for example, for Peter and Ryanair to film the videos inside the cockpit. And we can find this stuff for most of the American airlines and some of the Japan airlines and Indian airlines, because I know that was the case. Then the pilot was filming inside the cockpit and the airplane crashed. So it's totally wrong, my friends. So I think you may film, but use it carefully and use it smart. So put it aside when no one will see it. I also put on my glasses and on my head, just on the back, the camera, the small Sony camera. It do not distract my view, and it's very light, it's fixed, and my hands are free. So I would say it's totally safe. But what they've done here, it's totally wrong. Totally wrong. I do not support it, my friends. And there were actually almost the same cases in Indonesia as well with Trigana Airways. Then they land the same airplane, Boeing 737 Classic, quite hard, and once they lost the landing gear because of the G-force exceeds 3.25 Gs on landing, so they lost the gear and skirted the runway, and there is the video. And one more case, then pilots aligned the airplane just as we discussed before. They finished the S-type maneuver just over the runway, also led to the hard landing.
Pum pum.
The stabilized approach criteria are not here just for rules. We need to follow this and obey, because it is the golden standard. It was based on previous experience where such approaches and landings that we just seen finished not as happily as in the first video. So the airplanes crash, catastrophic events, loss of life, loss of airplane cargo, etc. That is why we need to follow this golden rule: stabilize or go around if unstable. So as for me, my friends, the bank angle they did wasn't very high, so I'm still okay with it, but it was done very late. So they should have performed the right turn over here. And also this correction over the runway, it was totally reckless flying, landing from unsafe position that led to the hard landing. So here for sure, over here, if you see that you are on the left, you need to go around, because this is very short distance over here between the final turn and the threshold. So my friends, I hope you enjoyed this video, my reaction on this interesting approach and landing of Intra Asia in Paro Airport. I wish you safe flights, and also follow the awesome guy checklist as usual. I know you are awesome. So first, just like this video. After that, subscribe to my channel, and finally ring the bell, whatever it means. Thank you very much for watching this video, and have a great time. By the way, it's not about the Indonesian pilots. I used to fly with very young first officers in Indonesia, and I had never had any problems with them. And some of them are now senior first officers or even captains. And I would like to fly on airplane with those pilots. It's more about the attitude to flight operations, the attitude to safety. And you may find the same cases in many countries, in many of airlines.